Let's talk about the nature of women today and the growing number of them who feel alone in society. Men must first have a better grasp of how women think in order to better understand them and be able to make decisions that would help them to live happier, more successful lives without being exploited, cheated on, or used by them. Let's start with how women have changed over the centuries. Women started going to college in the late 19th century, and they were involved in subjects like home economics. Prior to that time, home economics had its own course and degree. In addition to teaching women how to manage a home's finances and cash flow, it also taught them how to furnish, decorate, and make their homes livable. It was a school that educated women to handle the responsibilities of managing a home and acting in some capacity as an administrator. The goal of wealthy parents in those days was to raise their daughters to be well-behaved housewives with happy marriages and families, therefore they would send their daughters to study home economics. However, why did they behave in this way? Did they merely want women to cease standing in the way of their own lives so they could live freely? Or was it because they were content to live separately? We must take into account how society functioned at that time. During this time, everything wasn't as easily accessible as it is now. First, they were less knowledgeable than we are now because they didn't have access to the internet. Second, the soldiers were given extremely challenging assignments like building roads, railroads, and other infrastructure in far-off places. Basically hand-built infrastructure that required manual labor. They frequently had to perform strenuous physical labor and travel great distances. Now, women couldn't do these things for obvious biological reasons. Therefore, the social structure was that the men went out to work to support themselves while the women took care of the home and the children. It was simple. Men simply did not have the luxury of staying at home in those days, and women were unable to perform the same tasks as men. Before feminist movements started and altered the belief that women could achieve whatever that men could, they were both happy. It altered how society perceived domestically employed women, creating the impression that they were mistreated and should leave immediately. Women rebelled and fought against the social system that circumstanced them as stay-at-home wives and mothers. They also rebelled against living in the suburbs, which sort of alienated them from the center of things happening in the downtown city areas. They wanted to be part of the decision-making process in order to create a system that also looked after their needs, which it previously didn't because it was just dominated by men. Back in the 50s, women wanted more living spaces. When they did get the bigger houses, they felt even more alienated and rebelled against that as well. Women resisted and challenged the societal structure that forced women to be at-home mothers and wives. Additionally, they protested against suburban life because it distanced them from the action in the city's downtown neighborhoods. They desired to participate in the decision-making process in order to establish a system that also included their demands, something that was not possible before because men predominated the system. Women demanded larger living rooms in the 1950s. They revolted against that as well when they eventually received the larger homes because they felt even more alienated. There's been a lot of research that has been conducted to tell us that over the last 5 decades, women are not less happy than they used to be. This is partly because they're surrounded by other women in highly competitive environments, but I think it's also because it doesn't allow them to thrive because of how nature created women to be nourishers of life and comfort instead of being passive-aggressive people competing with the world. This has also led to a lot of women never being able to get married and live the lives they ideally want. It has also raised the divorce rates across the developed world because they are neither happy at home nor at the workplace. And now, we live in a world that is just chaos when it comes to gender roles and how they are perceived. What led to this situation? Women made the decision to work full-time in the workforce in the 20th century because they believed it would make them happy. It failed. Due to the nature and accessibility of farms to their employment, families had begun to move away from farms and into large cities at this time, and males decided they didn't want large families and would be content with 2 to 3 children. Social engineers of the time began to consider ways to integrate women into society as a result of their increased isolation and discontent as a result of staying at home. They made an effort to persuade women that staying at home and taking care of their families is better for them by nature. They did not, however, anticipate the beginning of the intimacy revolution that driven and led by abortions, birth control, and divorces. Women could get pregnant any time and avoid having babies when they wanted. This left them to believe they don't belong in homes, and instead they were better off at the workplace, where they could find potential partners. It freed them from their houses in suburbs where they felt trapped because previously they didn't have any options if they got pregnant. Women dreaded being abandoned by males, especially if they were not married to them prior to the pill or the no-fault divorce, where the spouse does not need to prove anything to seek one in the first place. Therefore, the marriage commitment was far more significant for women back then than it is today. It supported them while they raised their children and kept the male and female in a partnership where men swore they wouldn't leave a woman. This societal dynamic, however, sort of vanished as times changed and women gained greater freedom from the birth control pill. A woman's role biologically does include getting pregnant and raising children. Since many modern women choose to lead lifestyles that are contrary to their biological nature and purpose, it doesn't surprise me that they are unhappy. Women dislike patriarchy because it prevents them from living in accordance with their biological and natural tendencies and being happy. Mankind's first ancestors were hunters and gatherers. They engage in warfare, engage in hunting, and bring treasures like food and resources. Women are homemakers, on the other hand. They have children and raise them. Men still adhere to the same societal norms today. They are gatherers and hunters. They report to work, engage in their professional and corporate conflicts, and earn a living. On the other side, the ladies are not content with their situation. So they altered that to live similarly to mankind. It goes against the nourisher's own universal nature. Women who use birth control pills and no-fault divorces have contaminated the social fiber of our world. It would be excellent if women could create their own social structures and ask males to live in them in accordance with their values. But why can't they be content with the systems that were created today if that doesn't happen? Many have attempted to persuade them to act in accordance with their own natures, but they are not interested. They desire everything that guys have. They also desire to engage in hunting and gathering. They are aware, however, that they are neither physically or psychologically capable of performing that task as well as males, who were designed for it. So it's unfortunate that we currently live in a very complex world where modern people may have the option to choose not to have children and to divorce, yet they're still not content. They can have children and not feel lonely while raising them, but society has changed that by perpetuating the myth that staying at home is a form of oppression. Women should be able to do anything they want because, supposedly, this will make them happy. Women, in my opinion, need to strike a balance between their objectives and their natural tendencies. They will experience the kind of sadness that has been experienced throughout history if they entirely lean to one end of this range. They must strike a balance between maintaining the comfort of their families, husbands, kids, and homes, and participating in social activities that are meaningful to them. This could be a job or a company. Anything that motivates people to go toward a goal without sacrificing their marriage and children. So this is why modern women dislike mgtow men and feel isolated in society. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.